So today we're here on the west coast at a reserve called Rocherpan, which is one of the Cape Nature reserves. We're very excited to be here as a team. We're here with a team from Warrior on Wheels Foundation, and we're excited to speak to some of the team a little bit later to see what their experiences have been so far at this Cape Nature Reserve, Rocherpan.
My first experience when I arrived here was, generally speaking, that the place was a very beautiful setting.
When I first arrived, I was very impressed. I thought, wow, this is special.
When we arrived here, the first thing I noticed was the accessibility, because that's the first thing I always look for, was that see if there's ramps and see if there's any steps, and finding that there was a parking bay that was wide enough to accommodate wheelchairs. So that's always for me a good thing, because it makes me feel comfortable and makes me feel welcome.
From the moment we've arrived, Damien has been able to go from the parking lot to his cabin. He's been able to move around the cabin on his own, and he's been able to do activities like move to the swimming pool area and go on to the picnic area, the braai area, walk along boardwalks to visit the bird hides, and just to be able to experience what other travellers would experience.
I think they've done a fantastic job. You know, it's somebody's thought about it carefully and given good advice in the way to set it up.
It's one thing taking a textbook or having advice on building a facility to kind of universal standards for accessibility, and it's a completely different thing having people with different abilities coming and experiencing these facilities.
Friendly staff, friendly people, and finding out that the ramps were easy to wheel on, you know, the slats weren't too wide apart, and that sort of thing is important because you want to feel comfortable actually getting to your accommodation you're going to be staying at.
Our experience with Dave and I over the last 20 years is that we've often been told, yes, it's accessible, or no, don't worry, we've got a couple of steps, but we've got lots of big, strong people, and somebody who's in a wheelchair wants to be independent. And what we found here is that Dave's hardly needed me at all.
The danger of looking for accommodation on the internet is that you can't see it, and you don't get a first-hand account from somebody who's in a wheelchair and in that position. Very often they'll say, yes, wheelchair friendly, and you'll get there and you'll find there's a step.
I think Cape Nature has taken a good initiative in doing this because it's important for people to feel inclusive. People need to be able to, that are differently able, to be able to go to places and see places and experience nature. And they're so well placed to be able to do this, because every time you build new cottages and stuff, they can get people involved to actually help them to do this. But why is it important? Tourism. I think, especially in the Western Cape, we are geared to be able to offer so much to so many people, and it's not just people in South Africa, but it's our people from abroad.
I really do think that one of the major driving forces behind this sort of the sort of facility that we're in now becoming available for wheelchair is that there are organizations like Warriors on Wheels that force it out into the open.
I think it is incredible that places like Cape Nature would partner with Warrior on Wheels to have someone who is in that space come and experience what they have to offer.
And if more people in wheelchairs can start believing that, yes, it is accessible for us, they will start visiting. I'm sure, I can't believe I'm the only person in a wheelchair who has an interest in getting out into the wild and seeing things like that.
With our contact with Warrior on Wheels, we've noticed that the fact that they're doing so much work for young kids and their families, to have this involvement now with Cape Nature and taking it a little bit a step further to make sure that it's not just activities, but it's activities over a period of time, maybe a couple of days, and having the accommodation available to do that and to have those experiences, I think is a really very positive thing.
Amazing that Cape Nature is taking this initiative. It's a rare thing. We haven't experienced this kind of interest in these kind of problems in our 20 years of being together.
So the collaboration between Cape Nature and Warrior on Wheels can't come at a better time, because this is the time that we actually need to spread the word and make it positive for people with disabilities.